Lewis Hamilton has just shaken the foundations of Ferrari with a statement that no one saw coming, and the timing couldn't be more critical. Just hours before the most iconic race on the Formula One calendar, the Monaco Grand Prix, and right after one of the most scrutinized qualifying sessions in recent memory. Hamilton chose to speak out, and it wasn't just a typical post-qualifying interview. What he revealed brought to light not a minor error, but a much deeper communication breakdown that could come at a high cost for the Italian team. Now, the entire paddock is buzzing about it. The controversy began during the first segment of qualifying in Monte Carlo, a session where every thousandth of a second counts and any mistake is magnified by the narrow, unforgiving barriers of the street circuit. While Max Verstappen was flying through the Massenet corner, with the throttle fully engaged and locked into what was shaping up to be one of his fastest laps, he suddenly encountered Lewis Hamilton slowing down and occupying part of the ideal racing line. At first glance, it seemed like a simple misjudgment, but it quickly escalated into something far more serious, as radio communications reviewed by the stewards revealed the full story. It became clear that Hamilton had been making decisions based on inaccurate information provided directly by his own team. Initially told that Verstappen was on a flying lap, Hamilton moved off the racing line. But just seconds later, his engineer updated him again, saying Verstappen had backed off. Trusting this new instruction, Hamilton accelerated and began returning to the racing line, right as Verstappen was approaching at full speed. The collision was narrowly avoided, but the damage was done. Verstappen had to abort his lap, and the International Automobile Federation immediately summoned both drivers to the stewards. The investigation was thorough, involving GPS overlays, onboard camera footage, lap time analysis, and, most crucially, the radio audio. The verdict was clear. Hamilton had indeed impeded Verstappen. And even with Ferrari admitting they had given the wrong information, the officials emphasized that a communication error is not a valid excuse. The result was a painful grid penalty of 3 positions, dropping Hamilton from a promising 4th place to 7th, precisely on a track where overtaking is nearly impossible. This was not just a slip-up, it was a severe strategic failure at the most critical moment of the weekend. And Hamilton's choice to speak publicly reveals how frustrated he is with how things are being handled inside the Ferrari garage, and this is only the beginning. So, if you want to dive deep into what this means for Ferrari, for Hamilton, and for the rest of the season, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and stay with us until the end, because what Hamilton revealed might just be the turning point of Ferrari's entire season. The real bombshell dropped shortly after, landing squarely on Ferrari's shoulders, because Hamilton did not remain silent after receiving the penalty. In fact, his words after the decision sparked an even bigger debate within the Italian team and across the paddock. Hamilton made it clearer than ever that this wasn't just a racing incident. It was a communication failure, a breakdown in trust between driver and team that came at a steep price. Speaking in a calm, yet unmistakably firm tone, he said, "I was completely off the racing line and was told Max was slowing down. Then I was told he wasn't. It changed. I accelerated, and suddenly Max was there. It wasn't my fault." That phrase, "it wasn't my fault," may be one of the most powerful statements Hamilton has made since joining Ferrari. Because beneath those words lies a crystal-clear message. The team let him down. And it wasn't just any part of the team. It was his very own race engineer, Riccardo Adami. Without naming names or directly pointing fingers, Hamilton publicly highlighted the confusion and contradictions that occurred in real time over the radio. At one moment, he was told Verstappen was on a flying lap, then that he wasn't. He adapted his driving, trusted the guidance, and ended up in a critical situation. The stewards noticed, the fans saw it, and Hamilton knew it too. He didn't need to raise his voice or show outrage. The damage was already done. But by calmly and publicly confirming that Ferrari gave him incorrect data at a decisive moment, Hamilton ignited a conversation that Ferrari had been trying to avoid at all costs. Now, it's not just about the car's performance, but whether Ferrari can be trusted to operate at the level its drivers demand. And when that doubt comes from Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, those concerns carry immense weight. Let's talk about the race, because that's where the full impact of the penalty truly unfolded. Hamilton started from 7th place instead of 4th. And as anyone familiar with Monaco knows, that difference is massive. Overtaking is nearly impossible unless chaos erupts. And even with the new 2-stop rule imposed by the Federation to shake things up, the reality of track position still defines the outcome. Without the penalty, Hamilton would have started in 4th position, just behind Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris, with a genuine chance to attempt an undercut or extend his stint to gain positions during the pit window, leveraging his strong race pace, something clearly evident in the Imola Grand Prix. He might even have fought for 2nd place if the strategy worked in his favor. But starting from 7th, that window closed before the lights even went out. Hamilton's race execution, as always, was precise. He managed tire wear well, stayed patient, and avoided the chaos in the midfield. But no matter how well he drove, there simply weren't enough opportunities to recover what was lost on Saturday. He crossed the finish line in 6th place, a result that looked solid on paper, but left both him and the team clearly disappointed, and rightfully so. This was a weekend that showed every sign of redemption. The SF25 model looked sharper in Monaco's tight corners. Adjustments to ride height and a rear wing change gave Hamilton more confidence under braking, and the team finally seemed to have delivered a competitive car for a technical circuit. But all of that was undone by a single radio message. One bad call, one moment of confusion, one missed opportunity. Even Hamilton's post-race comments echoed the weight of what might have been. We need to be able to trust the people around us to give us the right information when it matters most. If that trust is broken, everything else falls apart too. It was a measured and thoughtful statement, but absolutely devastating in its implication. Because it wasn't just a critique of the moment, it was a warning about Ferrari's operational culture. Ferrari fans won't remember this race for a great result. They'll remember it because it exposed how fragile the team's current structure is. When a driver begins to question the data he's receiving, something is deeply broken. And Hamilton, who came to Maranello in search of a new challenge and a final chapter of greatness, now finds himself facing the possibility that he may need to fix more than just a car. He might have to rebuild an entire system. As we head into the next race, one thing is certain. Lewis Hamilton is no longer just driving the SF25. He is becoming the voice that Ferrari may finally need to listen to. Whether this will spark a real push toward the championship or lead to further internal turmoil, only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, the rest of the paddock is watching very closely. If you stayed with us until the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if this analysis made sense to you. Subscribe to the channel to keep receiving stories that go beyond the headlines of Formula One, and activate the notification bell. Because if Monaco already delivered this kind of drama, the next chapter might be even more explosive.